You know how you sometimes get a scam email and you think to yourself, what was the point of that? Who's going to fall for that? I mean, that seems ridiculous. The point is, the email is not meant for the majority of people who get it. It's meant for the feeble minds that are not able to discern between a scam and reality. And for those people, 2%, 5%, 10%, it's worth it for the scammer to send an email like that to hundreds and hundreds of people because they're not gearing it to the majority. They're gearing it to the extreme 10% that they're going to prey on and destroy their lives, rob them, etc. Now, why do I say that? You look at the scenes of the videos out of Gaza today where Hamas, Fatah, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, all came together for one of the most grotesque scenes our generation has seen, where they got together near the coffins of two babies, Kfir Bibas and Ariel Bibas, a woman, their mother, Shiri Bibas, and an 84-year-old named Oded Lifshitz. And they got together and they celebrated it with lively music as they stood around the coffins with automatic assault rifles. And they stood there, and the people of Gaza brought their children there and their wives, and they gave out sweets, and they celebrated. And you think to yourself, in what kind of grotesque universe would someone A, engage in such a cruel and unfathomable behavior? In what universe will someone be sitting around a coffin celebrating? In what universe will someone see the body of a 9-month-old baby and celebrate? A 4-year-old baby and celebrate? A mother like that in a coffin and celebrate? A 84-year-old beloved grandfather and celebrate? Who would do such a thing? And not only that, who would film themselves doing such a thing? Have camera crews filming them engaging in the most barbaric behavior our generation has seen? Who would want that out there? And the answer is, it's not geared to the 80% of the world. It's geared to the 20% of people. It's geared to the students on campuses that look at this and say, wow, this seems like a good idea. It's geared to the professors in Ivy League universities that are going to come out and say, oh, wow, this is a form of resistance or decolonizing. It's geared to the extremists living in Toronto, in Montreal, in Vancouver, in New York City, Los Angeles, London, Paris. It's geared to those young, feeble minds that look at the savagery and barbarism and say, I want to do this. It's the exact same impact that ISIS had in 2012, 13, 14, when they put out videos of the most grotesque things in the world. And yes, the world was shocked by it, but there were young people in Belgium, in London, in other places who said, wow, I want some of that. And they got on airplanes and they flew to Turkey and they drove to Syria to join ISIS. And so Hamas are doing exactly the same thing. There's only one difference between what ISIS did with YouTube and the beginning of sort of like internet viral videos and what Hamas is doing today. And that difference is that whereas in the case of ISIS, when people saw the horrors that they were displaying on video, they said, this cannot continue. This must be ended. And the world went to a war on ISIS and completely destroyed it because we decided we cannot have a reality where something so barbaric, something so cruel is in our midst. And yet now, when Hamas portray these videos to the world, and when we're shocked by the coffins, by the music that they play, by the barbarism, decent human beings, Jews, Israelis, and allies say this cannot continue to exist. This kind of terrorism cannot continue. And yet, most of the world is silent. Most of the world is not saying the evil of Hamas must cease to exist. We need to travel halfway around the world. We need to send everything we have to make sure this does not continue to exist. The world is okay because the targets of Hamas are the Jewish people. And for centuries, the world has shown that it is absolutely okay and accepting of Jews being treated that way. Whether it was the silence of the world in the Holocaust, the pogroms in Eastern Europe, what went on in the persecution of Jews in Spain in the 1400s, whatever it was, the world has always been okay with this kind of behavior towards us. But decent human beings need to understand the following. Just like we understood with regard to ISIS, this will not end when it comes to just them doing this to Jews. It's going to continue. There's going to be other extremists that will look at Hamas and copycat it. And therefore, I call on the world, condemn this behavior, speak out against it, seek its eradication, because if not, they will be on to other things. They will continue to attack other groups, and the world itself will be in danger. So speak out. Don't let yourself be scammed. And if you know someone, if you love someone, if you're friends with someone whose mind is weak enough to fall for this scam, to fall for this extremism, make sure you help them out of love to de-radicalize themselves.